I'm Ixia, and today I want to talk about The Greatest Living Show. What's actually going on with it, what makes it such a well-written tragedy, and its possible connections to or commentary on real-life issues. If you haven't seen The Greatest Living Show, you should click off and go do that instead. It's good, I promise. The Greatest Living Show isn't just a song and it isn't just a music video. It's a short story. In a literal sense, it's a story about a girl who joins a circus, gets turned into a puppet, and has her body broken apart. But it's so much more than that, and I got a few things wrong, or at least missed a few things the first time I tried to analyze it, for reasons I'll discuss later or in a pinned comment or something. In the world of The Greatest Living Show, there are a few different beings. There are the shadowy figures, the opal-beaked dancers, the humanoid entities with unusual faces, the puppeteer, who is probably human, the puppets, who may or may not have been human, or at least alive at some point, and the protagonist/narrator, who was almost certainly human, and who I will simply refer to as the girl since it's shorter. It's possible that the shadowy figures aren't their own distinct group, and that that's just Bani-chan's way of representing everyone in the audience at the beginning of the story. Now, the only time you see a fully human-looking woman, aside from the girl, she is actually just a puppet, and the only puppets we ever see look just like human women. Remember that as we move forward. Anyways, the song opens with the lyrics, "Silent blue, so cried the somber moon, above the oaken forest starving in the cold. There lay a carnival, with a showman's hall, the greatest living show never been told. So I go." Right away, the features of the outside world are characterized as silent, somber, and cold, with the forest dying, and judging by how the girl describes how she got to the show, it seems like she doesn't know the true nature of the puppeteer. In fact, it seems like it might be her first time in attendance, and that attending in and of itself was a split-second decision. She enters the circus tent, the show begins, and she is absolutely spellbound by everything, especially the puppeteer. There are a few important details here. One, The Greatest Living Show's subtitle seems to be "Never Been Told," and the description of the puppeteer raising his arms at the beginning of the show is "Let him raise his arms in might to the greatest living show that's ever never known." To me, that implies that the true nature of the puppeteer is intentionally being kept a secret or an open secret as part of the show, or that it's somehow not supposed to be known by outsiders or people attending for the first time. It's not super clear to me, but it's definitely something about concealing information or the idea of concealing information. The other thing is that, as I said earlier, The Greatest Living Show is not just a music video. It's a story, and the girl is its protagonist. So, for the most part, we only see what she sees, and for the majority of the video, Bani-chan mostly focuses on her or on what she is looking at. This means that the shot of the puppeteer looking at the camera could be interpreted as him looking directly at her, but more importantly, she sees the puppet strings. She sees how the puppets dance, break, and are discarded. Now, I said that the puppets may or may not have been human at one point, and to elaborate, I don't think they necessarily have to be human, but there is something uncanny about the fact that they're the only other fully human-looking beings, aside from the girl and the puppeteer. However, when the other puppets break, they break like they're made of stone or glass or ceramic. They crack, and with one of them, the lower sections of her legs come clean off. When the girl breaks later in the video, it's more like she's being messily ripped apart and she starts bleeding a tremendous amount. However, if you look closely, the other puppets can open their eyes without being told to. This might just naturally be something that occurs when they die, so to speak, but I still thought it was worth mentioning. So, human or not, there's a possibility that the other puppets might be alive or might have previously been alive. Though, if I had to make a bet, I'd say that they're not alive and that they're made out of ceramic. But something about the animation makes you question it, if only for a second. After the first performance, there's an intermission. The show continues after, then ends. Then to the lonely middle time, where the star-painted dancers take the lights off. Out go the tired middle men who retire in dirty lines. Then to the ending time again, where the haze-heavy room is cold and empty, trotting across the middle when "a new light colors my mind." If I love the show, shall I waltz on stage and be a dancer in the glow for all to know? And then the watcher's eyes will be my glaring prize, here in the greatest living show, never been told, so I go. The intermission is described in a somewhat negative light, with the magic of the show starting to fade away. Then the show ends for the day, but the girl stays behind. The room is described as empty, but she's still there, so that's the conclusion I came to. She walks along the middle of the exit path in the tent, about to leave it when, unfortunately, she suddenly has the bright idea to join the show. At this point, she knows, or at least she should know, about the broken puppets and their strings, and how she, the puppet master, and the puppets are the only fully human-looking beings in this scenario, perhaps in the whole world. It would be rational to be suspicious, or at least to proceed with caution, so why doesn't she? Well, she loves the show and she wants the magic to come back, to be a part of it. It's irresistible somehow. She also sees it as an opportunity to achieve fame and greatness, to be a dancer in the glow for all to know. Watching a perfectly executed stage performance unlike anything you've ever seen, and then immediately imagining the possibility of yourself on stage can be intoxicating, especially if you're the sort of person who wants to make yourself known, to have everyone else's eyes on you. It can be intoxicating enough to have the rational, suspicious, second-guessing part of your brain be turned off so that in a moment of temptation you might ignore or even fail to register the possibility of danger. Especially if you're making a split-second decision, which I believe she did. Again, she was walking along the middle of the exit path in the tent, about to leave it, when, unfortunately, she describes her fantasy about being a dancer, the watcher's eyes being her glaring prize, and that section, which is only a few lines long and doesn't contain any real plans aside from joining the show, ends with the words, "So I go." Plus, she admires the puppeteer and doesn't think she'll be treated the same way he treats his other puppets. She probably thinks she won't be made into a puppet at all, or at the very least that she won't be broken like the others. This line of thinking about him is based on her fantasy, on her wanting something so much that it warps her assessment of reality. And for reasons I went over, her judgment was already clouded. After she resolves to join the show, there's this scene where he dances with her, and she looks up at him happily like her dream is about to come true. But then, after that, after a period of time that is implied to be very short, she puts on her corset and goes outside, and puppet strings appear on her wrist. She freaks out for a second, but gets pulled backwards by the puppeteer's powers before she can do anything. The puppeteer appears right behind her, and she has this blank look on her face, possibly due to his control. Plus, now that she's a part of the show, she gets up close and personal with him, and it isn't what she imagined. She finds him somewhat frightening, and when the show's about to begin, she hesitates and starts having second thoughts, looking back at him with fear. But the poems I've been praying don't seem right. Falling curtains that shine on a doll. This change in her state of mind happens for a few reasons, and I'm going to give you my guesses as to what they are. The initial high of that first show has worn off, and she's just barely starting to think clearly again, to see the puppeteer for who he really is, and by extension to see the situation for what it really is. This is aided by the fact that, again, up close and personal, the puppeteer feels somewhat different than when you're just watching him as part of his audience. Plus, the reality of what's happening to the girl is less glamorous, less magical than whatever she was imagining. But of course, it's too late. She stopped having any real agency the moment she joined the show. That was the last decision she ever got to freely make. Her eyes widen with fear as the show begins and as the rest of the puppet strings are attached to her. The audience's eyes are all on her, but it's not what she imagined for herself. She wanted to dance for them, but instead, against her will, the puppeteer moves her strings to make it look like she's dancing, and the audience doesn't really care about that difference. In fact, it might be the very thing they came here to see. Earlier I mentioned all the different types of beings in the greatest living show, and the two groups that we see in the audience are the shadowy figures and the humanoid entities with unusual faces. What I'm going to propose to you now is that they might actually be the same people, but viewed from different angles. Maybe it's only once the girl comes on stage as a puppet that she is able to briefly glimpse the truth before her death, that this is what the audience really looked like all along. It's possible that the curtains or the puppeteer's magic or something was concealing their forms from her beforehand, but I'm not sure. But judging by how quickly the change happened, and that it happened at the same instant that she was forced to dance against her will, I think that they're the same people. Anyways, the audience continues to watch with detached amusement as she is torn apart, rather than admiring her the way she wanted them to in her fantasy. Like, ultimately, even if the audience does pay attention to her, they don't care about her as a person. She's just there for their entertainment, so they're not moved by what she endures. Eventually, her head is torn off, and the puppeteer continues to dance with her headless body, just as he danced with her while she was alive. No empathy, no difference in body language, nothing. Afterwards, we get a few spliced together shots of the puppeteer closing a book and a brief shot of the outside world, which is calm and still like nothing ever happened. There's a gentle breeze and a little white ribbon hanging off of a plant. The story ends here. The Greatest Living Show is the best kind of tragedy. It's not just something bad happened to this character, feel bad for her. It's about a flawed person in a flawed system, and when she makes her fatal mistake, when she makes her decision to join the show, even if from the outside you're saying, no, don't do it, you understand her motivations and weaknesses, and why things went down the way they did. Even though the whole situation was horribly unfair, the girl did have some hand in her own downfall, and that makes the whole thing both scarier and more relatable. To be clear, I'm not saying that she deserved to be made into a puppet, but I am saying that she made decisions that put her closer to the puppeteer, and that if she hadn't, things wouldn't have turned out the way they did. How do I explain this? If I had been in her situation at a previous stage in my life, or even now honestly, I'd have probably done the same things she did. I want to say I wouldn't, but I also make crappy split-second decisions. I also want to achieve fame and greatness. I also let my fantasy spill out into reality and cloud my judgment, and I feel what she feels when I see an interesting performance or piece of media. All it takes is one moment like that, one screw-up. That's all it took for her, after all. Now, when looking for deeper meaning or real-life issues portrayed in The Greatest Living Show, I don't think it can be boiled down to a simple, and that's the moral of the story sort of situation, the way that, say, Amphibia can. This is especially true since, again, even though the girl did have some hand in her own downfall, it ultimately happens for reasons outside of her control. We just see her lead herself there. The Greatest Living Show has a surprising amount of complexity packed into its short runtime, but not in a convoluted or fake deep way. It's one of those things where, even though it is clearly saying something, there are multiple correct interpretations and multiple things you can focus on while writing those interpretations. So the interpretation I'm about to share with you is not the best or most correct or most complete one, and I'm not going to claim it is. It's just mine. The Greatest Living Show can be interpreted as a commentary on exploitation, unfair, dishonest contracts, and sexual abuse and harassment within the entertainment industry, and how you can't quite see all the ugliness from the outside, how you can only see it from the inside once it's already too late. There's also the idea, it's hard to explain. The girl doesn't naturally have a spot in the puppeteer's show, and as far as we can tell, she cannot naturally fly or dance as well as his other performers. But once she's made into a puppet, the puppeteer can make it look like she's doing something very similar by using his abilities to manipulate her body. In any case, if you want to make it, traditionally you need to make a contract with a company, and in order to be the kind of person who gets a contract, you're sometimes limited in the ideas you can actually implement by what's marketable. Your company has the potential to give you a bigger budget and access to a bigger audience, so like the girl, you can do, or at least appear to do, things that you could never do on your own, but sometimes that's at the cost of your freedom. Only you can decide if that's worth it for you, and sometimes it isn't. I also think The Greatest Living Show has something to say about the relationship between entertainers and their audiences. The girl is enchanted by the show, but doesn't think too much about how it actually works or the personhood of those involved. She's just in awe of the spectacle. But once she becomes a performer herself, she sees far too late what's really going on and what the show demands of her. Also, if you're watching this video is a replacement for another video I recently made about the greatest living show that wasn't that good. I feel like this video also wasn't that good, but that it at least provides a more accurate picture of what the greatest living show is actually about. More on that in a pinned comment detailing my mistakes, what I want to do better, and the future of this channel. I don't have a coherent outro because I'm all out of brain juice. If you want a video essay about the greatest living show that's actually good, you're gonna have to get Andrew Cunningham or some other competent person to do it, sorry.